Borderlands franchise has had its ups and downs, as you guys know, with Borderlands 3, in my opinion, being the best in terms of gameplay with the sliding, slamming, opening chests by melee, things like that, and just the overall gunplay makes it to the top of my list. But overall, that is one of the only biggest things that keeps players coming back to the game. You know, Borderlands 1, 2, the pre-sequel, their stories were a little bit more revolting, and they just were overall a lot better in my opinion. And in today's video, we're going to go over all the things that we would like to not see in Borderlands 4. I mean, come on, there's going to be plenty of them. First off, as you guys know, there's going to be the drop rates, drop chances, loot overall. The number of legendaries that are in Borderlands 3 is absolutely insane. Now, it's not just the number of legendaries, but it's the number of legendaries that aren't actually usable. There's so many legendaries out there that literally do nothing in the game. Pretty useless, like the COV launcher, Dictator, Transfusion, the Barrage, Loaded Dice, Power, Embrace the Pain, Cosmic Crater, Binary Operator, the Rectifier, just to name a few. So in Borderlands 4, we would not only like to see the change in the drop chance, which we know is coming, and I actually welcome this change. It's a looter shooter after all, so grinding for gear and having the ability to no longer have to save quit, I think farming is going to be elevated. The amount of time it takes to farm a weapon is going to be cut virtually in half without this save and quit option, you know, with Moxie's Arena, being able to spawn any boss, mini boss, world boss, whatever it may be, to then farm your weapon over and over and over again. But I also want the legendaries to be very useful. I want the legendaries to feel crisp, to feel rewarding when we pick them up, and really have a big diversity for what they bring to the table when it comes to a legendary overall. Next off, and we know that this one is most likely fixed to some degree, is having to go back to the same NPC 50, 60, 70, 30, 500 times over and over. Lilith, we're talking about you. Having to go back to the same NPC over and over again, whether that's picking up a quest, completing a quest, just talking mid-quest, whatever it may be. We know that that is a big problem in Borderlands 3, and it seems like that is going to be fixed in Borderlands 4. Now, it's going to be interesting how they're going to implement this, because we know with Echo 4 giving us the ability to complete missions on the fly with him at anywhere in the world, be able to accept and receive our reward on the fly. So it's going to be interesting how the hub's going to work. That's one of the biggest things for Borderlands 4 that we do not know anything about, that I'm extremely curious about. Every Borderlands title had a specific hub. How is it going to work in an open world? You know, the Timekeeper has his own stronghold somewhere on the map of Kairos. I'm pretty sure us, the Vault Hunters, as well as, you know, a band of community people who live on the planet might have our own hub, our own little base. I kind of have an indication where this may be. I don't know. This is just kind of my thoughts due to the concept art that we've seen a few times. Now, the next thing that we do not, now the next big thing that I do not want, now the next major thing for me would be skippable cutscene, and not just cutscenes, but skippable dialogue overall. Like when you're talking to an NPC, you can just mash a button and just, you know, skip. A lot of games have this. I was so surprised Borderlands 3 did not offer this. But as you guys know, with Borderlands 3, we could jump all the way up to a max level character, pretty much max, and then, you know, bypass basically the entire story. But if you're doing quests and doing things like that, and you want to run through the story 1, 2, 3, 4 times, whatever it may be, having to listen to the quest givers and just dialogue overall, this needs to be a big change. They need to implement it to where we can just skip it overall. Now with Borderlands 3, they really stepped it up in terms of gameplay, gunplay, but they lacked a lot of sustenance when it came to the story. I really want the story to be a little bit more grounded, and that's what they're saying this time around for Borderlands 4. The story's going to be a little bit more grounded, a little bit more serious, and I actually like that. Now, we know Borderlands as a whole is a goofy, funny franchise. There's Easter eggs, there's funny things going on. This humor does not sit all that well with me for the most part. Like, you know, it's not that it doesn't sit well with me, I just don't laugh all that well, but overall, I just want more of a serious tone to the franchise. I mean, Lilith went missing, Maya died, so much happened in Borderlands 3, you know, so much happened in all the Borderlands titles. I just want them to go to a little bit more of a serious, grounded approach. You know, obviously I do want all these quips, all these funny things from Marcus, Craig, Claptrap, whatever it may be, NPCs that you meet around the world, and we know that that's going to be the case. I do want somewhat more of a serious tone to Borderlands 4, and I think that's going to pull in a lot more players and just make the game overall just that much better in my opinion. And I think they're going to go this route, but we will have to see. Another thing for me would be immunity phases and bosses. As we talked about earlier, farming is going to be faster than it's ever been in the franchise. You know, they're saying no loading times, a full open world, but I do think immunity phases and bosses really slow down not just, you know, the farming overall, but it really cuts up the pace of the game, because Borderlands, there's a lot going on. It's chaos, the guns are insane, the enemies are insane. I would love that to just be full force 100% of the time, just boss fight mechanics and different phases maybe where ads and different enemies come out while you're fighting the boss boss, but I don't want there to be immunity phases. Now, in the pre-sequel, when we're fighting the Sentinel, he kind of has somewhat of an immunity phase, but it's very short. If it was similar to this, that would be okay with me because it's not a direct immunity phase to where, like the Guardian takedown, where they're fully shielded up, you can't do any damage to them. So I would just like to see immunity phases gone overall, because I think this is going to add to the ability to make just the farming in general for the game that much easier and that much faster. Next off, Mayhem Modifiers. Now guys, we think that this is going to be implemented in a way that's a little bit different. From what we've seen and what we can tell, Mayhem Modifiers are going to be completely gone. There's going to be some kind of iteration to it, but it's basically going to give the enemy a special element, but it's not going to give us, the player, a debuff, which I think this is a good way to go with it. If you guys see the state of play, you can see some enemies have these buffs to them, but they don't directly debuff us and prevent us from using specific element types, specific weapon types, or skills on them. It just gives them a specific buff, like poison, fire, whatever it may be. So I think modifiers need to be completely put away, or the ability to just turn them off, because some modifiers are fun to play with. In my opinion, I do like them. But I do think that either they should be gone completely, or you have the ability to switch them on and off. I also want the story to not ignore previous installments. I want them to fully talk about the previous Vault Hunters and what happened in Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3, the pre-sequel, whatever it may be. I want there to be deep lore. Now, we do know there is a lot of lore in the Borderlands franchise, but overall, I think they could make it a little bit deeper, and I do think they're going to go this route because, after all, we're on the search for Lilith, and a lot of Vault Hunters are returning. We've seen Zane, we've seen Amara. I guarantee we're going to see Flak as well as Moze. Like, they're not going to leave those Vault Hunters out. The interesting thing is, I got a question for you guys at the end of this video. Who do you think is going to be the Vault Hunter that is going to die in Borderlands 4? As you guys know, in all the Borderlands titles, one Vault Hunter did not make it out alive. So who's it going to be? Who's going to die this time around? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below what you don't want to see in Borderlands 4, what you're most excited about, and what Vault Hunter you think is going to die. I think it's going to be Zane. And as always, stay happy, stay hype, and good luck looting.